We're here at Cummings, just outside Cummings, Kansas, on 230th Road, about a half a mile east of Cummings, as is Atchison County, Kansas. Ooh, since the day I was born, I guess more or less, I grew up on a diversified crop and livestock farm in central Kansas and been involved in agriculture ever since. Yeah, so I grew up on a farm in central Kansas. We had dairy cattle, chickens, hogs, beef cattle, and then we also grew grain, sorghum, wheat, and then a few vegetables as well, watermelons and cantaloupe and sweet corn primarily, and that kind of got us started. I grew up with 11 brothers and sisters, and so that was kind of our pocket money was growing vegetables growing up. And so I actually went to school at Kansas State, majored in horticulture and fruit and vegetable production. In the farm operation, I mean, a lot of what I do is either early in the morning or in the evening. So my day job, you know, from 7 to say 5, I'll be tied up in the office or traveling. Although with the COVID-19, the last 12, 13 weeks, I've not been able to travel. But normally I travel 50% of the time all over the U.S., primarily the East Coast. But typically what happens here is we'll have projects in the evening or the morning, whether it be planting or weeding or laying plastic. But generally we use the evening and morning. But what's typical, there's a different job depending on the time of the year pretty much every day. So like last night we were planting squash and cucumbers, we were hoeing weeds, then we went and trained grape tomatoes and clipped them on the trellis that we have, overhead trellis that we have, and that was not last night. So tonight we'll be in here putting up a trellis system on these modified Florida weave, pounding posts and putting string up. So that'll be tonight's job. And then tomorrow we hopefully will have our pepper stakes in, and we'll be putting in the stakes on our pepper in the high tunnels, and then we'll be spraying for aphids, which we have a problem with right now, which out in the field we've never had aphids, but as I said earlier, we always have it's different when you grow in a high tunnel. You have different pests, you have different fertility requirements, and we found out you got aphids in high tunnels when you're talking about peppers, just loaded. Well, there's some things inherent to the crops that we're putting in the high tunnels that the high tunnels address. So getting to market early, producing a higher quality crop, and getting more production off a smaller area. So, and extending the season later. Those were all challenges in the field that we really couldn't address. High tunnel helps us address some of those things, especially with high value crops like tomatoes, which improves the quality. You get earlier, about 30 days earlier, get production 30 days later. And so there's some things there that just really help the economic viability of a farm by providing better products, higher yields, and earlier and later production. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. So I talked about earlier some of the things that we have done. So we did some research. One is building a pad, make sure we build the pad so it's got good drainage. We also brought in compost to work into the soil that was native to this area and work it in so it's more productive. And then we put polycarbonate end caps, which a lot of them you'll see, and with metal, where a lot of them will be just plastic with wood, and they just don't hold up as well. And then we used a double layer of poly on here with a fan that inflates between the two layers. Gives us a little more insulation and also diffuses the light a little more, so it's a little less stressful on the plants and the fruit. So those are some of the things that we did. These are Zimmerman high tunnels. They're Gothic design shape, and these are 96 foot by 30 foot, all 4 of them. Well, it's early in it, so last year was the first year we had 2, now we have 4, but it's clear to me that we can get earlier production, higher quality, and later production. And so that's going to mean, and they're more productive. I mean, if you take field tomatoes, for instance, in order to produce what I have in these 2 high tunnels, I might have to have 2,000 plants in the field. Here I've got somewhere around 700, and I'll blow past marketable yield. I'll blow past 2,000 plants in the field. Yeah, so we're growing, you can see here, this is slicer tomatoes. So 2 of them are dedicated to slicer tomatoes. They're planted 30 days apart to help phase the production. We also have bell peppers, which we'll go over and see in a minute, and we're going to grow colored bell peppers there. So we'll go green to red, green to yellow, green to orange. And then we have one high tunnel that's all grape tomatoes, orange, yellow, and red. And we have a big market for grape tomatoes with the school systems. School systems really like grape tomatoes because it's easy for the staff to prepare, basically wash and serve, and the kids like them, and they're nutritious for them. That's you know, a healthy snack, if you will, that they can put on the plate. So those are what we have it dedicated. We might entertain cucumbers in the future as well, or maybe even hanging baskets with strawberries would be some other considerations. Everything else we'll probably keep in the field unless we build some more high tunnels. Yeah, that's a good question. Is one of the reasons that the schools like this farm to school program is that the kids eat more of the vegetables that are being served to them. They have less being wasted, and they're more nutritious. Generally, fresh vegetables have a higher nutrition content because over time they lose some of their vitamins and antioxidants and so forth. So if they taste better and they're better for them and they're seeing less waste and stuff being dumped in the trash. The other thing that's interesting is when we sell a school, we sell them exactly what they need. If they need 160 pounds of tomatoes, they get it. They don't have to round to the next case and have to buy 200 pounds. I don't know how many times I pull into a school and I deliver, and out the back door of the kitchen is always a dumpster, right? And I see them hauling stuff out of the cooler that is going to waste because they had to buy 20 more cucumbers than they ever intended to use, and it went bad on them. Plus, they're probably 2 weeks old by the time they get them and shove them in the cooler. When I'm bringing my cucumbers in, they're less than 24 hours removed from being picked in the field. And so then they go in the cooler, and if they want 22 cucumbers, they don't got to buy a case of 50 to get 22, they get 22. So the waste goes down in that respect as well. Yeah, you know, in a lot of cases they are saving money, and the kids are getting a better tasting product and more nutritious. So it's a win-win-win. It's brought additional technology to the farm, which and hopefully it will enhance the profitability because we're extending the season, allowing us to produce higher quality and grow crops that we probably couldn't grow if we didn't have the high tunnels. At least certainly not the volume on the amount of space that we have. So, you know, they really supplement everything else that we're doing along the other species. So the tomatoes and peppers that we're growing now, we'll get them earlier, we'll grow higher quality, and we'll have higher yields.